Ambassador Paul Bremer defending his record, as well as the Bush administration and what they left for the Obama administration on CNN last night with Aaron Burnett. This was an interview that was quite intense. Roll it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. This is a great day in Iraq's history. Iraq's future, your future, has never been more full of hope. The tyrant is a prisoner. Now is the time for all Iraqis, Arabs and Kurds, Sunnis, Shia, Christian, and Turkoman, to build a prosperous, democratic Iraq at peace with itself and with its neighbors.
We now, of course, know none of that came to pass. How
No,
did it go so wrong?
actually, you're wrong, Aaron. Every single bit of that came to pass. They have the Arab world's most progressive constitution. They have conducted 6 elections since I made that speech, all of them democratically. They have a democratically elected government. Their per capita income, just a minute.
Go ahead.
Their per capita income today is 6 times what it was when I made that speech. They had all of that in place. We defeated al-Qaeda. The Iraqi army defeated al-Qaeda with our help in 2009. All of those things came true. They have all been reversed in the last 2 years, 3 years.
Our guest is a senior fellow for National Security Affairs on the American Foreign Policy Council. As mentioned, his latest article, I will be posting from BuzzPro, pardon me. Remember when George W. Bush predicted exactly what would happen if we pulled out troops from Iraq like Obama wanted? In fact, if we go to cut number, I believe 6, we have President Obama's take on this. And this may be, I believe cut number 6. All right, James, you remember this? I know you do because you talk about this, and not only that, the legislation that then Senator Obama put forth. But here's an oldie, but an irrelevant clip, certainly. Roll it.
I am not persuaded that 20,000 additional troops in Iraq is going to solve the sectarian violence there. In fact, I think it'll do the reverse. I think it takes pressure off the Iraqis to arrive at the sort of political accommodation that every observer believes is the ultimate solution to the problems we face there. So I am going to actively oppose the president's proposal. I don't doubt his sincerity when he says that he thinks this is the best approach, but I think he is wrong. And I think the American people believe he's wrong.
He opposed it big time. In fact, he introduced the Iraq War De-Escalation Act of 2007. James, your thoughts?
Yeah, who was wrong, right? There's Barack Obama saying the surge won't work, 20,000 troops won't make a difference, it'll make things worse, blah, blah, blah. And he was totally 100% wrong. It's definitely worth remembering and recalling that. Barack Obama has been wrong on Iraq consistently throughout his political career, whenever the question came up. Yes, he introduced that act in January of 2007, which was when the surge was just going to get going that spring. And his proposal was cut and run, basically pull out the troops, let Iraq deal with it. And this was when things were really in bad shape in Iraq, when the sectarian violence was at its peak, when no one was quite sure what to do about it, except, of course, George Bush and some of his advisors. But consistently, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, all of whom were senators at the time, opposed the surge. They opposed the policies that led to establishing peace and stability in Iraq. They were completely 100% wrong, and their solution at the time was to cut and run. So since people are going down memory lane on these things, it's worth remembering that.
And the fact, I mean, as you said, always being wrong it does have a consequence of these policies that don't pan out. It's never politically popular. And I remember, I think it was McCain during the debate, and it was almost as if McCain became Bush in 2004, saying you can't do that, or you can't smear our allies. You forgot Poland. I mean, it was this frustration with this theory that, hey, if we pull out and put pressure on them, they'll come together, they'll get it together, but we can do that without consequence. And now we're just seeing the consequences, and you've got the likes of, not that it really matters what he thinks, but the show itself, Van Jones, recalling clips from, well, everybody on the left is going back to, well, we're going to return to the original Bush lied, people died. We never should have been there in the first place. That's not a real fair treatment of contextually honest history in light of the fact of what we were facing, the intelligence we had, and the 16, then 17 UN resolutions that had been passed.
Yeah, it's all they have, Crane, because when you look at the rest of the facts of this case, they were wrong all along on the solutions of what should bring stability to Iraq. They opposed the surge. The surge worked. When George Bush left office, we could reasonably say that we had won the war in Iraq. We could reasonably say that. Troops were still there, but they're on a timetable for withdrawal. And here's the other thing that they're saying. They're saying, well, maybe things did go wrong in Iraq, but it was because Bush negotiated the withdrawal agreement. Well, the withdrawal agreement was predicated on the idea that after 2011, when our troops were gone, that there would be a stabilization force. We would leave behind 5,000 to 10,000 guys as a force to take care of contingencies of the very kind that we're seeing. But who blew that negotiation? It was Hillary Clinton. Her State Department completely flubbed it. They alienated the Iraqis, and that agreement was never made.
You know what I love about your article is it helps people, everybody who reads it, because you can click on the link of what you say, and it's backed up. Here it is. Here it is. Oh, Obama's administration to failure to conclude in 2011 to conclude agreement for a follow-on stabilization force. And you're backing things up. Now, here's where things oftentimes go, especially in light of the last 10 plus years. And from a person who talks about this and has talked about it with you over that time, the idea that I'm called a chicken hawk, and you want to take over the Middle East, the straw man arguments. And the reason I bring this stuff up is it's utter bunny stew. Pardon my language. My daughter incorporated the phrase. I'm using it because it gets pretty thick and pretty deep when you start going after and saying, yeah, I never served a day in the military. I've never claimed to, and have absolute respect for those who do. But if somebody carries my opinion who has, does that make me right? It's always about dodging the substance. Not about me, by the way. I'm not, turning into Barack Obama. I'm saying there are a lot of dodges to this, either taking history out of context, going back to the old refrain of Bush lied, people died, and as you said, that's all they have. So they're going to keep putting it out. That's all it's like racism. I can't really compete with you. 2 + 2 doesn't equal 5. You're right. So I'm going to call you a bigot. You don't like the president because he's black. You turn into, you get the Chris Matthews, Tingles, Blondels excuse. So